The WNBA picks up right where it left off with monster viewership and a lot of drama. 2.7 million average viewers for the Chicago Sky Indiana Fever opener Saturday on ABC, Ben. Also, narratives, of course, had to follow when those two teams clash. Year 4 of Angel versus Caitlin being the, and sometimes the only story that anyone wants to talk about with this sport. Caitlin fouls Angel under the basket in the third quarter of a blowout win by the Fever. It gets upgraded to a flagrant 1 upon review. Angel, reacts very strongly. You're fucking crazy, or whatever she says. You have to kind of read the lips, but strong response. Very frustrated by the whole thing. Felt like Caitlin stepped out of bounds. Clark gets the interview opportunity between quarters where she says it's just a basketball play. And then both of them basically tap out of the whole thing post-game and choose kind of to not really comment on it at all once they're able to cool down. On top of that, the WNBA and the Fever proceeded to announce that they were investigating very unspecified, racist, bigoted comments toward... Well, they didn't say toward Reese, but that's the assumption based on some hearsay online by Fever fans in Gainbridge Fieldhouse during the game. Now, that has not been updated at all. I don't know what's going to come of that investigation. I'm not even sure how these, like the Wolves in the NBA were supposed to be investigating something related to Draymond a few weeks ago. I don't know what to think of things like that when it's so vague. But obviously, the foul, the blowout win, Angel's response, Caitlin's all these things brought us right back to 2023, 24, now 25. What did you think of all of this happening in the first 3 days of this WNBA season, Ben?
Yeah, it was funny. I watched the game. I tuned in for the game. Obviously, I watched the first half, and then it got pretty out of hand, and went to an early dinner with my family, and got the push alert that I'm guessing came probably like 20 minutes after it actually happened about the flagrant foul. And just seeing the headline, Caitlin Clark called for flagrant foul on Angel Reese, like my head just like sunk. It was just like, oh boy, like here we go. Like here are the takes. Here we go. Like I know I'm going to open up X now, and like it's just going to be all about this, and it's going to be all the predictable takes and all the predictable talking points. But like I also don't, as much as that was like my visceral reaction, like I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. Like I think the idea, like RG3's thing about like Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark as a person. Like I don't necessarily agree with that, but it does remind me a little bit of when LeBron and Steph were in their heyday with the Warriors and the Cavs rivalry, and there was a lot of like professional animosity, professional jealousy. Just you could tell they were two guys who really didn't get along with each other, and I think that's obviously the case with Caitlin and Angel. And so when you look at these as two of the most prominent players in the league just in their second year, like I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. And there's, that's the reason that the Fever and the Sky were scheduled for that Saturday showcase game on ESPN. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing.
Which couldn't have gone better for the W, that the NBA had a gap because a lot of the second round series didn't go very far. And then it's on ABC, which they're catching up to how to do the scheduling, I think, in a better way. And the partners are obviously helping with that. But yeah, the thing that I wrote about a little bit in our Awful Announcing newsletter, which people should sign up for if anyone wants to click over there, is that I think it's a good comparison, like Steph and LeBron, or any number of NBA rivalries. Like there are people like Draymond or Patrick Beverley who cross a line, but that's not really what we're talking about here. This is two genuine star players. The best players are, in Angel's case, one of on good teams, not Patrick Beverley or some kind of, nonsense guys like that. But with Steph and LeBron, with stars, they actually, there was the Halloween party at one point. There was Steph's wife's tweets at various points. Like, there were times where it obviously became a little bit tabloidy and everything. Caitlyn and Angel aren't handling this the way that I would handle it if I wanted all of it to go away. Right? Like, and I don't know if that's intentional. I'm not saying that they want to have a million headlines and obviously no one wants racist comments if that did happen. I'm not trying to say that. But what I'm saying is, it does seem like there's something deep down about the two of them when they play each other and just who they are as competitors, where their main priority is not to make this go away. Because they would not be acting this way. Caitlyn, during that between quarter interview, would have said, "Oh, I don't really have a comment on that." Angel would have held back. I understand it's the heat of the moment. I don't play professional sports, but I think you could probably not scream the F word at somebody in the middle of a game if you wanted it to not be a story. Like, you could hold yourself back to a degree more than that. Maybe it's just because they're young. Like, I'm willing to accept that too. But these types of things tell me that we're not overreacting, is my bottom line. Like, this becoming such a big story each time, I actually don't think it's just the media blowing it out of proportion. Now, not everyone's takes are smart or reasonable about it, but focusing on this, I actually think it's totally the right thing to be focused on, and I don't think it's going to go away because they're not getting it to go away. It's in their hands, and they haven't put it to bed for 4 straight years now.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, to your point, you can tell, like, when there's a hard foul in a game or a flagrant foul, you can tell when somebody's upset about the play, and you can tell when there's something like deeper there. And that felt like there was something deeper there, that it was like she realized who it was, and she realized the attention that it was going to draw. And I think that's why Angel Reese reacted the way that she did. I think that, I mean, one, we talked about this when we talked about Caitlin Clark a couple of weeks ago. Like, she kind of has that Kobe Bryant streak in her where she's going to take things like this head on. She's going to take them personally. And I think Angel Reese is largely the same way. Like, Angel Reese, we've seen dating back to LSU and the way she carried herself during that famous national title game. Like, she's going to give it right back to Caitlin Clark when she has the upper hand. So I think another part of this too is we've established that Caitlin Clark is a draw. Like, we've established that Caitlin Clark, whatever she had working for her at the college level, has totally translated over to the WNBA and then some. I think the next level now for the WNBA is, like, how can we establish stars who are not Caitlin Clark? Like, how can we spread the wealth on this? And to have Angel Reese, and, like, I think Angel Reese is the closest thing we have now to that level of fame. I mean, she has more Instagram followers than Caitlin Clark. Like, she is in that
podcast.
Yeah, the connection to Shaq, like, she is in that same stratosphere of fame that Caitlin Clark is. And so I know her game might not be like as visually appealing, although she did hit a 3 on Saturday. So there is something maybe there, but I do think, like, that's the next step for this league now, is how do we make this not just the Caitlin Clark show? And I know there's the Vegas Aces, there's Asia Wilson, there's the Liberty. Like, there are all these other parts of the league that people find really appealing, the diehard fans do. But I think Angel Reese possesses the potential to be that type of crossover star that we've already seen that Caitlin Clark can be. And so I think to have these two in a rivalry, as cliche as it is, like, it's bird and magic again. Like, that is how the NBA, ascended to the level that it's at. And I think that this is a similar playbook down to a couple of pretty obvious overlaps.
Yeah, it may not in the end reach those heights. I think we're headed towards something where over the next few years, Caitlin will develop a different rival who is probably on a higher level team and might not be the same age as her. Maybe
it could be Juju.
Sure, yeah, maybe it'll come later, or maybe it'll be somebody who's already established in the league that Caitlin catches up to and they play in the finals a couple times or something. I think that's probably where it'll go. But for right now, it's definitely that. And I think the proof, like, people like to say it can't be because Angel's not good enough or her team's bad or whatever. And that's true. I mean, she's not as good. She wasn't even the second overall pick in the draft that they were both in, and we all get that. But Caitlin is a draw, but these games outdo Caitlin versus anyone else. So that should tell you that something about this duo, this rivalry, actually is, like, a key part of what people care about still in the WNBA, despite all of that stuff. And yeah, who the next star? I mean, Paige Beckers, we'll see how her rookie season goes. I think she has a lot of name recognition and brand deals and all the sorts of stuff that you would want to see. Um, Juju's coming in 2 years probably. And, you know, Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu. There's still some other names in the league too. Collier is kind of coming up and made the finals last season, launched unrivaled. Like there's other people, but nobody on the par of these two, I think you would have to say. Maybe Asia gets the closest. I was also kind of interested in the, like, Colin Cowherd had this take last week of, I thought about doing it in the intro. Sorry your social life was so boring before Caitlin came along and I'm just now tuning in. And we've talked about that stuff a lot last year of kind of the national media getting involved and then treating it like, I guess, a blessing that WNBA fans should be thanking them for, that they even care about the league type of thing. And that is a self-perpetuating way to involve themselves in the story. It's textbook Stephen A. Colin Cowherd, why they're good at what they do, but I get why WNBA fans would get angry about it. I was trying to think, and I feel like part of why that dynamic hasn't ended yet either, because people like to say, you know, it'll go away like once you appreciate Caitlin Clark. I'm not really sure who is not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like there's prominent voices arguing with the data, arguing with the facts of Caitlin's draw, her gravity, magnetism, I should say. I feel like it's just because the WNBA fan base is a lot closer to, like, I mean, I have this tweet from Ested Herndon from the New York Times, who's like a big sports fan. He'll tweet about sports a lot. And he said stan culture won on everything. Like, the way that people talk about, he said everyone's a Barb. Like, that's Nicki Minaj's fan base. Mm-hmm. But it could be Angel Reese's, considering she also calls herself the Bayou Barbie. And I think that's the thing that I don't know where it kind of goes from here, because that type of fandom is so parasocial. It's so fixating on every little detail. Like that type of fandom that is in music and in pop culture and in, you know, social media influence, like they're programmed to zero in on these little micro conflicts like that foul, just the same way that national media is going to fixate on it and make it a narrative, but just in totally different ways. And I don't really know how, I don't know if that kind of thing can kind of be bridged where the super rabid, like, I love this person as my friend type of fandom that people have for Angel and Caitlin to a degree, versus somebody like Colin Cowherd who's like, whatever, shut up. It's only cool because it's because the sport's fun to watch. Like, they're just not talking about the same things, but yet they're gravitating toward the same stories. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how that ever changes, because we have 25 years of WNBA fans who followed the sport in that way. And then we have these national people who are trying to like bark at them about how to kind of care about the sport in a different, it's just like, I don't know how that cycle ends.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it was kind of an inevitability for the WNBA once it reached this level, because I feel like stan culture kind of like originated in the NBA with Kobe. Like, I feel like Kobe was the first athlete to really develop that sort of following. And you've seen it, you know, it comes with Steph, it comes with LeBron. I mean, you can click on these Twitter profiles and it's all just like, you know, calling you a Bron sexual if you say like, oh wow, I can't believe LeBron's still doing this at 40. Like, so
then why do you think it hits harder with this then? Because I agree, like, it's not new. I mean, I wasn't trying to say it's new. Nicki Minaj, if we use the example from that tweet, is she's not even famous anymore, really. That's already come and gone. But like, why with this league is it so inflammatory or so like constant?
I think it is right now, because I think anytime you have a league that wasn't considered mainstream or in the spotlight or being talked about on Colin Cowherd or First Take, like that takes some adjusting to. I mean, I saw it with UFC fans. Like UFC fans hated Stephen A because they thought like, oh, you didn't earn your stripes. You don't actually follow the sport. You don't know what you're talking about. And here you are on the broadcast. So I think there's just some of that. I think it's like it's the old cliche, like, oh, you were following an indie band and then the indie band went mainstream.
Cowherd used that example in the rant that I mentioned, and he mentioned international soccer, which I think has a similar level of like uppityness from the fans, where if somebody tries to weigh in, well, you don't know what you're talking about because you don't know who, Chelsea bought in the transfer market in the winter of 2012 or what, you know what I mean? And so maybe it's just that this league is like coming of age in this environment, whereas a lot of the other things we're talking about, they already were popular, and then the fans just kind of evolved into more of that stan culture. People already liked the NBA, and then they just became more obsessive about it because of the internet and everything else. And now this league had a more passionate version of that, and now it's getting big. So I think that might be closer to why it's happening.
I also think the fact that the league's youngest stars are its biggest stars right now is a part of this. I mean, going back to the Browns and Shedeur Sanders, like every Browns fan I know is blown away by the amount of like Colorado fans that Shedeur has brought with him to the program. Like he has this stan culture type of following, and everybody, and I think it's just because he's a young, popular athlete. I mean, obviously who his dad is plays a role, but like I'm texting with my Browns fan friends and we're like, is this a streaming thing? Like where did all these fans come from? Like Shedeur seems more popular as a 5th round pick than he did as a Heisman Trophy candidate type of quarterback in college. So I think that's a part of it, is that the younger athletes seem to, probably because of social media, are cultivating these stan-like followings.
Yeah, there will be more of it, I think, with that part as time goes on. I think we could see in other leagues those types of issues come to be, like if Arch Manning has to be a backup next, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think the NFL is just different because they shut that stuff down better, but it's probably coming before long. If Travis Hunter goes on his podcast and says, I actually do want to be playing receiver, and they don't let him do it. Like these things are going to come more and more, and the fact that they're younger is going to be another wrinkle. But yeah, I mean, I think the comp that's always been obvious is Caitlin is Tiger. And if you just imagine what Tiger's rise would have been like if all this online BS was there, it's kind of right there.